Hello, everybody. Excuse me, this is my first time speaking in a big crowd, so please bear with me. Our daily operations, I start my day off every day about 5 a.m. I do a quick walkthrough pretty much of all of our classrooms, see if there's anything that pops out that wasn't there the day before. If there is, I try to take care of it before the kids arrive at 7:30. But it's something that still happens throughout the day. You know, playgrounds, my security officer that opens up the building with me, does an initial walkthrough of the playgrounds. If there's anything he sees, he takes care of it and notifies me if it's something big. If it's a safety issue, we try to either close on that section of the playground to make sure to keep the kids safe. When the teachers go out there with the kids, there's always one teacher who goes out there first, does an initial walkthrough, the same thing. She sees something, she lets us know. If we can't fix it on the spot, that section is closed for the day. And then, the kids come out, the same thing. The next classroom comes out, semi inspections happen over and over throughout the day. Um, Big expensive repairs, the same thing. Stuff gets ordered pretty quickly, and it all depends on how quick the items get on site to take care of it. But yeah, the responsibility is myself, my security, my maintenance staff, and also on the teachers. We all communicate. My maintenance staff is all pretty knowledgeable with the tools and stuff we would need. We I try to at least have a little bit of everything in the building for any type of repair that might be needed. We try to take care of it right away. And it's a collaborative effort with everybody, teachers, there's even now with our charter school, the kids, if they see something, they bring it us to our attention. So it's, again, we're just communicating with each other throughout the day. And like Becky said, like that, there's no finger pointing. Oh, I told Ricardo didn't, do anything about it. Um, Next slide. And again, this is more communicating through, with everybody. There's always going to be something that happens in the building, cracks, on the floors, the ceiling, that your shape falls off, um, you know, chips on the walls, anything like that. Again, that's why I like coming in early. If there's anything on the walls, I patch it up. The next day I come in early and take care of the painting to try to keep up with everything, as easily and as quickly as possible. And again, we don't say that enough. If you see something, you got to say something in order for us to take care of it. And it's a shared responsibility with everybody. All my staff have clear guidance that if they see something while they're in a classroom taking garbage out, they see a garbage can that is broken, one of the flaps is off, they stop, they go get a flap and either replace it or replace the entire lick, completely. Um, it's we want to just make sure that there's nobody that it's the only one person responsible for all the repairs. It's, again, communicating with everybody to make things easier. Next. And then teachers and maintenance all have responsibility. This is a daily responsibilities of teachers, sanitizing toys, the bathrooms, the sinks as the kids are using it. They just do, like, after each student goes to the bathroom, they do a quick wipe down if they made a mess. And then maintenance goes around every morning, every 2 hours, to sanitize bathrooms. Anything the kids touch, toilets, faucets, everything gets wiped down. Um, but a lot of the responsibility does fall on the teachers. If there's an accident, that's when maintenance comes in and does a complete sanitation and cleaning of the classroom, the bathroom, whatever it is. We have these, I'm sure everybody knows, the bodily fluid cleanup kits. Those are in every single classroom. We have an abundance of refill kits that everything that you would need for a bodily cleanup is in there, from a dustpan to spray, uh, scrub, even a garbage bag. So when you use everything that's in there, when you're done, it gets thrown away and then a refill goes back into the box. So this is a little bit of the teaching responsibilities to do. It's daily, weekly, mornings. They always refill their bleach bottles in the morning, a soap water. Um, and then if you go to the next one, you'll see a lot of responsibilities that falls into the maintenance, which the vacuuming is done daily, cleaning, sanitizing the floors, just the basic cleaning of each space and classroom. That gets done throughout the day, and then more of a detailed cleaning at night. If there's a child in the classroom that the nurse identifies it at night, they go in there and sanitize the classroom. We still use our electrostatic sprayer, believe it or not. It a lot more regular than that I would like. But I mean, that seems to be doing the job for everybody. The sicknesses are not going from classroom to classroom. So those are still coming in pretty handy for us. And then we still have the Zona machines that teachers put toys and stuff, and then everything gets sanitized in 90 minutes. And then they're able to put it right back into the classroom. Next. And then these are our meetings for what it means for cleaning, like Becky, was saying, that cleaning means different to different people. It's like cleaning, removing dust, debris, and dirt from surfaces by scrubbing, washing, or rinsing, sanitizing to reduce the bacteria on surfaces, using the EPA registered sanitizing products, disinfecting, destroy, and active both bacteria and viruses on hand, non-porous surfaces, clean and disinfect immediately if any surface is contaminated with bodily fluids. And then that's when those cleaning kits come into play in our facilities. Anything else? That was it. Any questions? Yes. Cloth material stuff, the Zonos, we just run through the heat cycle, which I believe is 120 minutes, and that's the only way to get rid of bed bugs. We put any soft materials, couches, bedding, clothing, whatever we're able to put in the Zono, we run it through the heat cycle, and that kills bed bugs. That gets a steam clean at night.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a hefty issue. I think with lice, we, like I said, are lucky in that we have nurses on site who are comfortable doing the head checks of everyone. And really for us, it is more of like an education for families in how to support them in ridding their children of lice and supporting them with resources to ensure that they're able to go to the laundromat and get everything dry, that they're able to get things cleaned within their home. In really just monitoring, but to your point, I think like lice is hard. We don't, we do not exclude a child for a lice. It is just making sure like we've got the shampoo on hand. We're gonna give it to you. We'll show you how to use it. We'll walk you through that. Thanks.
My experience and it isn't easy, Jack. We hear you. And it seems like it's cyclical. They come around maybe one year you don't go through it. And the next year you do. Who was my best friend was CDPH. And that website, they almost have a page or two dedicated to not only lice, but bed bugs and some other little nasty things that we see. Pest control is another one. When Ricardo was talking about the garbage cans, how big of a garbage can do you use?
We have 13-gallon garbage cans for the open classroom area, and like 8 or 9 gallons for the bathrooms, which with lids. And then they get emptied about 3 times a day. I mean, it's amazing the amount of garbage that accumulates in the classroom. The amount of bags that we go through a day. But yeah, the classroom itself is, I would put a bigger one, but they just don't have enough space to go with like the 25-gallon cans. So the 13 are those slim cans that, again, because we do remove garbage 3 times a day, they seem to be sufficient, size wise. But if their cans are running full, they just walkie-talkie to the maintenance staff. They go in and remove the garbage, and then they get another bag.
It's the kitchen.
No, the kitchen's got about a 35 gallon cans, and that's from pretty much the leftover foods, the food scraps and stuff like that. It's pretty much like the gray cans that are in the back. But these are, with the lids, if you step on it, the lid opens up. But yeah, they got the biggest ones, on site.
And then one more outside.
Outside, we are, what is it? Really, the little kids, I think it's mainly, exterior 35 gallon cans. That they normally don't do a lot of food outside, so there's not a lot of garbage accumulating. It's just stuff that's found in the playground that teachers, grab and throw in there. But the hard thing is, in the summer with, bees and flies, it's, we just can't keep up with it, so. I would like to go with the smaller can, but the big one is what works for us all the time.
Thank you. I was working my way to pest control. In a lot of our neighborhoods, we have these super rats, and they will get into anything. And so that's why I was kind of, going there with the garbage cans, because it is an issue, and it's something that we do have to get uh, our heads around and work with your city, work with your alderman, because it is a reality out here in certain neighborhoods. Any other questions for Ricardo or Becky? Yes. Family childcare. She was asking for family childcare. How often for pest control? Do you want to know the frequency of how often you should check? Or are you asking what you should use in the home? Every day. Okay. Okay. Christopher House doesn't have family child care homes. So any other agency that has family child care homes, if you want to jump in here and respond, or any of the monitors and what you've seen. But I think what we could take away from even Ricardo operating several centers, yes, is that you need to have a large enough receptacle with a lid. We've been in and out of centers where we saw garbage cans without lids. That is not a good thing. You heard Ricardo say that he's making sure that those are cleaned and dumped, what, 3 times a day. So it has to happen often, especially to keep those pests away. But if we can get you more information, we'll get it. I saw a couple of people taking pictures of the slides. You don't have to do that. With Christopher House's permission, we will post this on our website. Any other questions for Christopher House? Yes, in the back.
So our intranet, we have a managed IT provider and we worked alongside them to get that set up. And then we have one person in-house, our associate director of operations, who oversees kind of the in real time adding to that. In addition to kind of the pieces that were up there, we also use it as our HR hub, our general messaging center. And so I think ours is, is to give a cost, I think, of just that one piece would be hard because really the entire agency uses it. And for us, it was more of, right, instead of 200 employees, emailing our HR department to always ask for the same FMLA form or the same documents, ensuring everything is there, right? Our employee handbooks, resources, our wellness resources, to right employee assistance program. So happy to talk with you offline about what ours looks like or show you what it looks like. But we did work with a third party to get that built out and launched.
One more question.
What's the difference? I'd be a question, but intranet and the internet.
So the intranet is only available to all staff within Christopher House. So it's like an internal online portal. Uh, it is housed in SharePoint. We use Microsoft, and so it's SharePoint, but it is only accessible to anyone with a ChristopherHouse.org credential. So available from your phone, from your laptop, but only if you're able to log in using your Christopher House credentials.
I thank you, Becky and Ricardo did such a nice job for this first go around. All right, we have one other presentation. I'm looking at the paper. You want to go now? Okay, she gave me the thumbs up. Melissa Moore, her making her way up to the front. Melissa is one of our vendors with SGA, and Melissa's piece, if you haven't heard her before, I just love her tone, the way she presents information is so caring and nurturing. And as you know, in early childhood, we can have a traumatic event like that. And sometimes I'll reach out to Melissa and say, Melissa, can you just call that director? Can you just wrap your arms around her or him and help them along the way? So with everything that's going on in Chicago, I thought would be nice for Melissa to remind us to take care of ourselves.
Someone monitoring or managing. Okay, thank you. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you, Bea, and thank you, Sarika, for having me today and creating some space on the agenda today to kind of think a little bit more about mental health. Again, I'm Melissa Moore from SGA Youth and Family Services. I'm the Director of Behavioral Health there and also support DFSS with some mental health supports. Okay, so I'll be fairly brief on your agenda today, but a couple of bullets that I thought I would bring forward today include just kind of thinking about us as a system and embracing providing our services from a trauma-informed approach. And then really thinking about the mental health and well-being of parents. We know how much stress parents are under these days. And then I want to pivot and just make sure everyone's aware of how to do a mental health consultant search that's available on Gateways. If you're needing to find a new provider, leave you with some professional development opportunities, and then of course, share some supports and resources. So that's a little bit of the roadmap for the plan today. Okay, so starting off with thinking about a trauma-informed approach. Being trauma-informed really kind of helps us to kind of frame that through some key principles that's offered through SAMHSA. And so kind of walking through what some of those key principles are, the first one starts with safety. And so really thinking about how are we creating our environments, how are we creating our relationships, how are we in the presence of others that we're serving. And so safety is going to be paramount, especially in some of the things that some families are facing today, creating both physical safety, but also emotional safety. And that's paramount and one of the key principles in creating this trauma-informed approach across our service delivery. The other caveat I'll say to that is that we can't ever really know what is safe for somebody else. We don't know what that means for them. But if we create our practices and we offer emotional safety and physical safety to the best of our ability, families are then welcome to show up who they are and how they are to our environments. And so that's really what I'm sort of leaning into when I'm talking about safety here. And then the second one is trustworthiness and transparency. So of course, building trust with our families is the only way that we're really going to be able to best support them. And dropping off your young child to one of our centers or in our space is really the ultimate trust that someone hands over to you. It's their precious child that they're entrusting us to care for. So building that trust and transparency. Peer support, that's when we create spaces to help families connect with one another. You know, peer-to-peer connection is so powerful and can be really transformative for families to connect with one another. And I know you all do that in a lot of ways and spaces. And I just offer to you to think about how to elevate that and how to continue to support that, even if it can feel challenging to try to find ways to connect parents and bring parents together in different meetings and trainings that you try to offer. And then the fourth one is collaboration and mutuality. So really thinking about decision making, fair choice, how can we walk alongside families in being able to provide that? And then fifth is empowerment, voice, and choice. So how are we affirming families? How are we validating families? How are we including their voice, choice, and options into our protocols and procedures and the way that that we are working with families? And the last one is culture, historical, and gender issues. So really recognizing that when we first come across families, it's not day one for them, right? They come with history of culture and experiences, perhaps trauma, perhaps issues of inequality. So what we always want to do in our practices is to create protocols and systems that actively works towards anti-racism and anti-bias attitudes and practices. And so continuously reevaluate what that looks like and how we can help foster actively working towards these experiences and really nurture and embrace families with everything that they walk in with. And so I just wanted to offer that as a way of thinking about how we can embrace these key principles and really offer a shared way of supporting families from that trauma-informed lens and providing those approaches in our work with families. Okay, so moving on to protective factors. So these are really the things that we build up to help support families and children. And it's really ways of promoting healthy child development. It also offers a way of mitigating risk. And it really offers sort of a little bit of buffer. We're not going to take away the impact of adversity and trauma, but we're going to offer that layer of buffering. And so if you think about in your own lives, like what helped you get through challenging times? It might have been your community, it might have been your place of worship, it might have been your family, it might have been whomever. And so those are all protective factors. And what I would offer to you is that everyone in this room is a protective factor in the community that you serve. You're a pillar in those communities. You offer so many supports and services to children and families. And so I would encourage you to really think of yourself as a protective factor for families that you're working with. There's a list of ways to build protective factors, but I really wanted to highlight two today, and those are the ones that are in bold, because I really think it goes along with the theme of kind of what we're focusing on today. And the one that I have highlighted there is social connections and a sense of belonging. If you've been with me before, you know that I really love to talk about the power of social connection. Social connections can really help with your medical health, it can help with your mental health, and it has really powerful impact on community success and prosperity and driving down violence. So just the power of social connectedness is really an important protector factor that we can really help to foster and build. And then that sense of belonging kind of goes back to that previous slide about how we embrace families and how we bring them into the community with us and how they have a place where they feel like they belong. So how are we cultivating that? How are we fostering that? Are really important pieces of how we're building those protective factors. And then the other point here that I have highlighted is offering concrete supports. These are those tangible, ready to go supports during times of stress and crisis. So what I would offer to you in terms of building protective factors is really thinking about what those concrete supports could be for your center, for your location. Is it creating safety plans with families? Is it creating a list of resources in the community that might include emergency shelter, It might include food pantries. It might include mental health resources. It might include sort of the gamut of resources. But in times of crisis, if you have that at the ready and you're ready to bring it forward to families, you can create that real immediate concrete support that you can offer to families. In a time of crisis, it's a really challenging time to then go sit down and think about what do I have, where can I get it, and start doing the research then. But having that available and ready to go in times of crisis is a way of providing those protective factors and really thinking about how we're supporting families through this trauma-informed lens and approach. There's others here that I won't go through, but I just really wanted to highlight those 2 bullet points for this conversation today. Okay, next slide. And then I thought I would just offer this really lovely quote that I like. It's by Jerry Paul, who's a pioneer in infant and early childhood mental health. And what she's quoted as saying is, to be held in another's mind is a precious thing. Equally precious is to hold another in one's own. So if you think about how, to be held in another's mind. So when someone says, I've been thinking about you, I've been worried about you, I'm checking in on you, they're holding you in their mind, and that feels really special to us. But what we do each and every day is we hold others, the families that we work with, in our minds, and we carry that around with us. And we think about their well-being and their care and their growth and prosperity. And so I think it's really important and really special to know that the work that you're doing really sort of highlights this quote that I just want to share with you. Okay, next slide. If you were with me at the Parent Policy Council meeting, I think back in the spring, I offered this here. So if it looks familiar, it is. I'm resharing it. There's a really great article that was offered, I think it came out in 2024 by the US Surgeon General, and it's called Parents Under Pressure. And it really highlights the stressors that families are under and how the mental health and well-being of parents has a critical link to the well-being of children. That's not new information, but I did want to lift that up here because I think now more so than ever, we can recognize that parents are under enormous strain and pressure, and we know the impact of that hits so many different areas. Next slide. And so these are some of the topics that's covered in this article. It talks about financial strain, economic instability, and poverty. And I would offer poverty as a form of violence, honestly. Time demands, parents are under so much stress and have such little time. They worry about children's health, their children's safety. Families are finding themselves isolated and perhaps lonely. The impact of technology and social media on young children, that's a whole new level of scary, for parents out there. And then cultural pressures and looking into their children's future. So if you have any interest and want to kind of dive in a little bit further, I wanted to offer this article to you to kind of read it through a little bit more thoroughly. Okay, and then to pivot, you all are likely already working with an infant and early childhood mental health consultant. As Bea mentioned earlier, we've experienced in the past year and preceding years some terrible tragedies that families have endured. And when those times come up, Bea usually will kind of tap me, but what I often find is that centers are seeking and able to receive some really quick response and support from their relationship with their mental health consultant. And for me, that really illustrates that this setup and these protocols and systems are working, that you're able to connect with your mental health consultant for those immediate supports and services. And so that is amazing. That's the person you have a relationship with, that's the person that knows your center, knows your work, perhaps even knows the family that's been impacted. However, if you do need to find a new consultant for whatever reason, Gateways, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with, Gateways on their website, you can do a consultant search. And of course, infant and early childhood mental health consultant is someone that can just partner with you as you support young children and families. The next slide, I know you're not going to be able to see it, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like on the Gateway's website. So on the top toolbar up there, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 6 over, it says find a consultant. If you click on that tab, this is what you see. I generally try not to check too many boxes because it'll filter it kind of narrowly. I leave it open as much as possible, but at the bottom, you'll notice that it says language and I think it says county or location. So if you're looking specifically for Spanish or another language, you can see who's on this registry that you might be able to reach out to. Not all consultants are on this registry. It's just those who've signed up to be on the registry. So there's more people than what's listed here, but it might be a good way to search and it might be a good starting point if you're needing to establish a new relationship. Okay, and then I thought I would leave you with some professional development opportunities around this topic. There's some free workshops that are coming up very fast, if you notice the dates. They're offered through the Brazelton Touchpoint Center. Often times in my experience, Brazelton Touchpoint Center offers some really great trainings, but they're also usually very costly. These ones, I think I read that they had some philanthropy dollars that were donated, and therefore they were able to bring forward these trainings free of cost. So if you're interested in any of these topics around promoting child, family, and provider mental health and well-being, these offerings are available and they're virtual. I did read that even if you're not available during the live training, go ahead and still register because then you'll have access to the recording for I think about 30 days, and then you can watch it at your leisure and convenience. And you don't have to attend all 4. So just wanted to offer that if that's something that you'd be interested in exploring a little bit further. Okay, and then as a system, as a DFSS system, we're looking to develop some wellness groups. And I use the word wellness very, very broadly. So if you think wellness and all of a sudden you're thinking that we're meditating, it could be that. But the structure of the group, the design of the group, the way we come together as a group can be formulated and structured by the group. So if that means peer-to-peer connection, if it means just talking about themes that are emerging in your work, if it's just a space to slow down and support one another, we can sort of craft that however you want, but we're hoping to kind of establish some opportunities. This QR code, it just takes you to an interest form. So it's not a sign up, it's not a commitment. You're not, giving your time away just yet. It's really just capturing your name and contact information, and then we can circle back and see how many people are interested in coming together in this way. I know during pre-service, B was able to capture a list of people that were interested, and so this is just continuing to sort of build on that interest. Okay, so grab a QR code if you're interested. Otherwise, I think the PowerPoint will be available to you at a later time. Okay, and then I want to close out with offering some resources. These probably are familiar to you, but I feel like every time I have an opportunity to share them, I'd like to. So first one is always to practice your self-care. Talk to a mental health professional if you have one available to you, or if that's something that speaks to you. But also some helplines and hotlines that are really helpful. NAMI Chicago is a mental health helpline. I do want to distinguish between helplines and hotlines. So helplines aren't available 24 hours a day, whereas hotlines are. So the NAMI Chicago one is a helpline. The 988 Crisis Lifeline, of course, that has been very well promoted. So hopefully everyone's familiar with that. That is a hotline. CDPH, of course, has mental health centers throughout the city. I just put one phone number up there as sort of an intake line. that's available to families, providers, all of you sitting in this room. Um, utilize them if that makes sense for you. And then the last one that I wanted to offer is the National Maternal Mental Health Hotline. So this is for new moms, or new parents rather, to offer some immediate support. And just wanted to see if there was any questions or thoughts or comments before I wrap up my time. Thank you so much.
You. How are we?
Good.
Isn't that great? We're working towards great, right? All right, all right, all right. So that's my question of you, a serious question with everything. And I think Melissa, I wanted her to go before me, so that we can talk a little bit about our own mental health. I call it brain health. But just to touch base for a moment and recognize in the world that we live in, that you are dealing with what you're dealing with personally as mom, sister, grandmom, whomever that role is, or dad or granddad. But then you're also then an employee, right? Then in many cases, you're a supervisor, you got teams under you. Then you're looking at the families walking in the door, looking at the babies, and you're trying to do all of what is required of you. And so each and every one of you are wearing multiple hats each and every day and trying to disperse energy across all of those each and every day. And sometimes that energy well feels depleted. Anybody felt that recently? Yes. Because you're giving, and giving. And in our society right now, it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of give back. And so the wells are running dry. And I just want to remind you, not just yours, your staffs, your families, and your own family, right? We are overwhelmed with everything that's going on and completely out of control. How many of you have witnessed any of what's going on in Chicago? Okay. If you witness it, what did it feel like when you witnessed it? Right? Horrible, unbelievable. Anybody else? Scary, terrifying.
It can happen to me.
And it could happen to me, right? And it could happen to anyone. I don't think that this is a system that is out there that has only one lens. And that's what I want to say to all of you. It really, we talked about it and it sounded like one lens, right? And we have diverted into all kinds of other places. You know, looking at the news and you see a young man pulled out of a Walmart simply going shopping. If you heard the why, you wouldn't think that's the person, correct? When you're looking at vehicles, crashing into vehicles, you didn't anticipate seeing that. When you think about being a parent and you have to leave your child and you don't know if you're coming back, we weren't thinking about that. When you think about being the person on the receiving end and having that baby in your environment and thinking every day, will every parent get back to this door? We didn't anticipate this, but it's our reality right now. It's how we're living, but we still have a huge charge. Working in the field that we work in, we got a huge charge, and that is to show up every day. Because if we don't, then what happens? The fail safes are gone. You are anchors in your community. You are trusted spaces. You are the family and that smile that gives that parent a relief when she sees you. She can say, for now, it's okay. And it's really hard to not have that on a daily basis and then get up and go do it again. But we're charged to do that. And so I just want you to think about there's information that we've been putting out there about know your rights, and that there are links and there's materials and there are resources that you all need to have your hands on at all times. You need to be ready to answer questions, but they need to be informed answers. One of the things that we are finding is people are really quick to respond, but not necessarily with the right information, and that makes it even harder for parents.
And that's not what we want to do. We want to have informed information. And so Illinois immigration information for employers, there's information on there to help you do some of what leaning in on safety to help you think about your environments, because you do have to think about your environment from your front door to your back door to your playground to your every area around the periphery of your building. You've got to think about that. You've got to know where your weak part spaces are. You got to know how your staff will respond if someone shows up at the door. And so I'm going to stop and ask you, and I'm going to point at some of you, sorry. If I am a person who walks up and I'm in military gear and I come up to your center and I ring your buzzer, what is your staff going to do? I see you shaking your head. What are they going to do?
Not open the door.
Do not open the door. So what am I supposed to do? I'm not opening the door. Then what?
Actually, don't ask them any questions because you don't want to have them to receive to come into your building.
Right. So what is your buffer between you and them? It's your door, right? You open up the door. You allowed me in, right? You allow me in if you've given me carte blanche authority. If I can't get in, I can't do what?
Well, I was just gonna say, do they have what would it call, judicial warrant or federal warrant or something? And I also have to advise my administration right away, the leadership team, and not let them in the building. They don't have access to any of our records. They have to show the warrant.
So they need to have a signed judicial warrant, signed by a judge, right? Not just a piece of paper. If you go on these websites, you can see the difference between the two because there is a difference. I can come and have a piece of paper that says that I have the ability to deport somebody. But if it's not a judicial warrant, I still shouldn't get access to anybody, right? But the only thing you have is your door, right? Parents, same thing at home, telling them don't open up your door. Because once you open it, then what? You've given permission, right? But we also know that there's been instances where they've still gotten into homes because they've done what to the door. Okay. So people are wrestling with that. You say don't open it, but then they will, right? They still have the right to say nothing. Sorry. They're pulling people out of their cars, they're ramming cars. I never could have guessed, never would have thought, but it's true and it's our reality of what's going on around us. They are going on rounds around early learning centers, around schools, around shelters, businesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so everyone needs to understand what's going on, and you need to know that there are pieces of information that you should keep handy, information you need to be sharing with your parents, because they need to know that they do, in fact, even with all of what's going on, they still have rights. Okay, and they need to understand that. In our last meeting, what I said to you is make sure that your parent cards were updated, right? If I'm enrolled in your program and I said Aunt Sue is picking up my child, but I said that 3 years ago, and Aunt Sue and I are no longer in contact, and you haven't had me come back and update that card, if something happens, you call the number for Aunt Sue, it's no longer valid. What do you do? So how many of you have updated your contact information for all of your parents and staff? And staff, okay? If you haven't done it for staff, do the same exact thing. You need to know who their contact individuals are in case of an emergency, right? You looking at your HR policies, your procedures, and all of that information, update everything, people. Update your own personal records. Make sure that your family knows who to call, even for you. Don't leave yourself out of this arena either. Take care of yourself and take care of your home. But when you're thinking about parents, We may have parents who've been here for a very short period of time. And they can't think of anybody who they can put on that card. They've got to have someone and you got to talk to them to help them understand that. There's one document that was in the back today that I want you to take, and it talks to you about the rules and the regulations around children who have no one there. How many of you understand your responsibility if a child is left at your center? What do you have to do? What are you required to do? Take them to the police station or hospital. And take them to the police station or hospital. What is the first step? Contact the individuals on the card. See if you can get an individual first, right? If that fails, then what? Call DCFS, right? You're going to call DCFS. Why are you going to call DCFS? Because they are the individuals who can then work with you to make sure that there can be temporary guardianship for that child. And I know we don't want to do that. We never want to make that call. In my experience, however many years I've been doing this, I've only had to do it once. Right? And I stayed there with that baby because we didn't have anyone else who could pick up the child until DCFS came. And of course, what I wanted to do was take her home. No, I couldn't do that. But I wanted her to be safe.
I probably would take my child, or make the child my home. But no, the right thing is to
Absolutely. Do not kidnap someone's child. As much as we want to, because we want them to be safe. We want them to be cared for, and we've got heart. That's who we are. And that's what we want to do. And with tears in our eyes, we hand those babies over to DCFS. Because it's not what we want to do. And I get that. But there is nothing else you can really do right now. And that's what I need everybody to understand. Sometimes we got to rest in that hard reality. That there's nothing else we can do right now. And that might happen to one of you at your centers. And you got to make sure that your staff understand the role and responsibility. When you were saying what you were saying, Jackie, my question is, I might know the system and I know the procedures. Is everybody else? Just like when Christopher House was talking, everybody has to know what it is, or you're waiting on an epic fail. I'm covering the desk today because Jody's out. And no one told me not to open up the door. Is it my failure or is it a system failure? It's a system failure. Don't put someone in a position without them knowing exactly what the responsibilities are. And right now, in our heightened awareness of everything that we're doing, we can't afford to do that. If I am the point person, if something happens and I'm not there, who's second and who's third? Does everybody know that? To what Christopher House is saying, you got to have a procedure and everybody has to understand the procedure. Who's on first, who's on second, who's on third, and how dare she be on vacation? It doesn't matter because I know what I'm supposed to do. Right? And it can't be, well, she's on vacation. No, she's on vacation. She gets to go on vacation once in 10 years. And she actually went. I have personal. I was so personal. But if I do go on vacation, who has the responsibility to back up everything that I would have done? If I don't make sure that that next person in line understands it, it's my failure. And if that person isn't there and they just leave, why knows Rachel told me to do it and I gotta go. Did she tell you what you need to do before she left? If she did not confer that message, again, here we have another gap. So what I'm asking you to do is go back to your organization and make sure that you have a system in place that everybody who is involved in that system, who has a role or responsibility in that system understands it and that you practice it. Why do you have fire drills? Because there's a fire? No, in case of a fire. Well, the world is burning, people. Do some evacuation plans. Go over it with your staff, have staff meetings, have morning check-ins, check on people, do all of those things. Make this a part of what you do every day. Make sure that everybody who is supposed to know what to do is available. If they're not, who's the backup? And let everybody know, guess who your backup is today is Sheree. Sheree says she's not coming.
I'm just saying.
But y'all heard me say that.
Right.
Make sure the people who are your backup to your backup understand they're the backup. Because if not, all people will do, and our tendency is to do this. It's not helpful when everybody's pointing. It's like, I thought it was her and I thought it was him and I thought he was going to do it. But once they're in the building, quick fingers don't matter. Okay? Know where your children are. How many of you have had children that have been absent? Do you know why they're absent? Do you know what's going on with them? You have a role and responsibility to do that, to check in on those families. Let's not lose our children. Let us not be sitting here one day going, I haven't seen her in weeks. I wonder how she's doing. That's not what we should be doing. But what's your policy? What's your procedure? What do you do? Child's absent. What do you do?
Our parents are supposed to call us by 9 o'clock. If they don't, we call them.
Parents are supposed to call by 9 o'clock. If they don't, we call them. Anyone else have a different procedure? Anyone? You are responsible for knowing where your children are. I remind you how we got here and having to do that is having a child be kidnapped. And no one called. It was child was absent. Well, child wasn't just absent.
And in addition, on the third day, we'll do a
And by the third day, a wellness check is done. If I'm out for too many days, you want to go and see what's going on with me, right? That's what we do in this field. That's what we're responsible for. It's knowing that our children are okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Talking about children. So I have families that due to the situation, they're not bringing the question is, can we go back to when we had COVID that we did do last week? Like it's to be participant.
So the question is, and this, we have families who are not bringing their children due to their concerns about ICE or whatever other concern in America today. But with that said, question is, can we go back to what we were doing in COVID, where we were allowing ourselves to do virtual for our families? I'm working on a policy so that I can put it out to all of you because those are our concerns. It's not just yours. It is real. And that's why I said, do we have children that are absent? Do we know why they're absent? Some of them are saying, I can't come. I'm terrified. But I don't want you to lose contact with any of those families and children. So we have to have a system by which we can do it. But in case people haven't noticed, there is a government shutdown. Under normal circumstances, I could make a phone call. I can call myself, but I can't reach the people that I need to. So I'm working on is getting permission from city law that will protect us, so that I can then give you something in writing that says you have the permission of City of Chicago to do it. Okay. Any other questions or anyone? Yes. We're gonna get there. Right now, I'm shutting down because of the government. On other issues, but again, this is coming out to you with these links so that you can, the last one on here, ICIRR. If you link on there, it is a hotline and there's information you can get about ICE activity going on in community areas. If you have staff that are going out and about in community, it's a good resource for them to use so that they know before they go. All right, next slide. So federal government, how funny you asked of that. Did you all know the government is shut down? Okay, it is. And we have no idea for how long. But what we do know is they were supposed to have a budget by September 30th of every year. Congress has a responsibility to agree and approve a budget. When they're not able to do that by October 1st, then they have to begin to go into session and find a way to do funding approval. So we have had them do funding approval, but that extended itself only so long to the government shutdown. And so now we're shut down. So what's at stake? Every government shutdown is different. What's going on in this one is different than other government shutdowns. Before, no one got paid. Then it was some people got paid. It was just announced that they are going to pay our forces, ICE, and all of those are going to get paid to do their very lovely jobs. Anyway, moving on. The critical protective services in the federal government are still operational. But I think we don't always agree on what the critical operational services are because when you let people from CDC go, I don't necessarily agree with that. But anyway, essential things will remain open, right? And so as long as those essential services are still open, then there are things that should not be happening. One of them says previous shutdowns canceled immigration hearings. Well, that's different here today too, right? And so it's different based on what's going on within the government, what they've approved, and what they've also said we're not going to do. Right now, there's some critical emergencies, one with our FAA, meaning that when we're thinking about flying, we've got individuals who are supposed to be up there in those towers. We're making sure that those flights are going and everything is secure. They are not being paid. And so the stressors of a parent or a family member or a loved one who's working every day, not knowing how I'm going to take care of my home, I'm the same person trying to make sure that those flights are safe. Just saying. So there's work that needs to be done, and there's some more decisions that will have to be made about what this means. Next slide. And so what impacts does a shutdown have on Head Start? Normally none, but if you had a grant that was effective October 1, you did not get your grant. Why? Because government shut down. So for us, to your question, we have our grant apps in the system. They were due September 1. They were submitted. They were in review. We knew they were in review because we did get a couple of questions and we responded with information. And then it was radio silence after that. What we do know is if it goes too far and extends itself all the way to the end of this month, our notice of award won't come to us on time for December 1. Okay. So what we got permission to do at DFSS was to go ahead and put in what's called the executive approval, which is the documents that allow us to generate contracts. Versus stalling and waiting and stalling and waiting, we were given permission to go ahead and at least start the process for our federal contracts that are effective December 1. Okay. And so we're starting the process, trusting and believing that it's not going to extend itself too much further. But none of us know what's going to happen. No one knows how long this is going to go on and how long it's going to drag on. Right now, we know the payment management system where agencies are able to pull down their funds is still active. But again, if you have a contract that ends, you have no funding authority to pull down with the months going forward. And that's when it becomes scary for folks. What we do know is some organizations are already saying that if the government shutdown continues and they can't get their drawdown, their existence is going to be short and very brief. What we know in City of Chicago is we're working right now with our Department of Law and the mayor's office to make sure that we have some security that allows us to continue to operate. If anything changes, as you know, we will definitely let you know. But right now, we're keeping our eye and ears open for everything that's going on in DC. Any other questions about government shutdown? Yes. So, okay. Question is, what did I say about contract period over? Our current federal grants end November 30th. Our new start date is December 1. We were in process of getting our grants reviewed and approved for our December 1 start date when all of this happened. We know that they got them. We know they were in review because we got questions which we responded to. As I said, then it went radio silence. If it extends itself beyond November 30th, right? Then we are now in a process period where we have no notice of award for contract period beginning December 1. That's when it gets scary for those December 1 funded agencies. hasn't extended itself that long before. 35 days is how it's been done before, but we're not living in normal times. So I'm not gonna stand here and try to, predict how many days it's gonna happen. Because when this first one happened, they sent Congress home and said, "Oh, go home." And they stopped negotiating and stopped talking to each other. And now they're trying to get them back so they can talk to each other. So all we can do is just wait and see and keep our eyes and ears open. For us at DFSS, yes, our federal grants are December 1. We anticipate not having an impact, but I cannot promise you that there won't be some short-term impact as there is right now for those who are funded for October 1. Okay? We can't guarantee anything with federal government right now. And I would be remiss if I stood here and tried to make you a promise. I'm not one for over-promising and underselling. So when we know more, we will let you know. But right now, those grants are in the hands of Office of Head Start. How far they moved before the government shut down, I can't say. I know there were questions. We're still going to have to wait to see when we get our notice of awards. Yes. The payment management system where everyone is able to draw down their funding is still active. People are still drawing down their funds. They did not shut it down. But if you don't have a contract, you don't have money to draw down. Okay? And that's the caveat to that. Yes, ma'am. No. I supplier City of Chicago, and I supplier went down. It's not on government shutdown, but it did go down. It did go down, and I know people have been experiencing some issues with iSupplier, but that's an internal piece to the City of Chicago, and they were working to get it back up so that they can process your invoices. Anyone else? So just want to remind everybody, all 3 federal grants, like I said, they were in review. We had 2 questions, so we know they were looking at it, but right now we don't know where we are with it. We do anticipate our Head Start, Early Head Start, and CCP grants to be opened in grants.gov, probably as soon as Office of Head Start is back at work. Why? Because those grants have to be opened, reviewed, and completed by June 30th. And so we're looking every day to see whether or not anything is showing up on grants.gov. Okay. But I want to remind everybody about enrollment. I know, how dare I? We already talked about children not coming, and here I'm asking about enrollment, right? Kind of doesn't make sense, but I have to. So we know that we lost some money due to under enrollment, right? But what we've been doing, and we're watching it carefully, and I want to say, give yourselves a round of applause. Look at what your enrollment was for Head Start. 98%. Right? Great work. And some of that is reserve and some of that is 30-day vacancy. It doesn't matter. 98% looks good. So I just like to look at the number. Yes, Craig, I know it's some background data to it. 98%. Early Head Start, it was up to 89%. So we're still moving in the right direction. You're still doing your enrollments. Early Head Start CCP, I don't expect it to ever get to where it needs to be 1,100. We did put in for a reduction. We asked to reduce it to 705. That was also in discussion and in review when the government shut down. Because we're under enrolled, there's no way we would ever get that one enrolled because the slots are not even out in community. So we're working on that piece as well. And then the last one on CCP, on Early Head Start expansion, 95%. So thank you for your work. What that means is these are numbers that's resting in a Head Start enterprise system. We have a requirement. Even though they gave us our $14 million back, they are still monitoring us. And so not only getting there to 98%, but staying at 97 or better, right? Not just getting enrolled, but staying there. What I'm saying to staff, and I'm going to say this to all of you, we are going to send out something, SurveyMonkey or something, because what I need you to do is tell me what's going on with attendance, because it's attendance impacts enrollment. Because if we've got to tell the story to Office of Head Start, we got to have our story, right? And so you will be receiving something that I will be asking you to respond to about what's going on with attendance and its impact, specifically due to everything going on in Chicago. Okay. So I will ask when you start receiving those that your staff, whomever is going to respond, please respond so that we can do our weekly reporting on that as well. Okay. Yes. I'm sorry. It's gonna be for everyone, for all funding sources. Yes, it's gonna be for all funding sources, regardless of which one and regardless of model. If you do home visiting and that mom is saying, I can't do the home visit, I'm terrified, I would need to know that too. We need to know what's going on so that we can document and report and share our story about what's going on as a result of what's going on here in the city of Chicago. I see your hand.
Going back to our five. Oh, send out message, then, morning and afternoon. Yeah.
So Sharon is here.
Oh,
She's gonna come up in a little bit and she can talk to you a little bit more about what's going on with ISAC. All right. And so support for families facing immigration challenges. You received a handout. If you did not, please take a copy. It's in the back. Verify information before you act, because everything that you're hearing isn't accurate. The social media is ablaze with all kinds of things that are going on, and people are adding to stories and adding more to it versus just saying, this is what I saw. What I don't want to do is panic people in community any more than they already are, but by our addition to stories, right? If I'm a mom and something happens, I don't need to look on social media and hear that all the details have been completely distorted when I know what happened to me. I'm already living in fear, and now you've added to that fear and that burden, and that's not what we should be doing. And so, what I'm asking everybody to do, verify before you act, and that includes going on social media and telling something that you heard that may very well be inaccurate. Okay. And then lastly, know know that we are here in constant communication. We are constantly, I have an 8:30 call every morning where we're talking about what's going on. We've got all the different departments. CPS is on the call. DFSS is on the call. Parks is on the call. Libraries on the call. We're all on the call. Law is on the call. We're all on there talking about what's going on across the city and trying to figure out what it is that we need to do in protection of you, your families, and your children. Okay. And if whenever something comes out, if there's something immediate that all of you need to know, you will definitely be getting it. So those of you, how many of you get our CSD alerts? If you don't, make sure we know who you are in your agency. If you're not getting the alerts, if you're getting CSD update, you're getting CSD alerts. But what we will do, if there's something that we need to alert you to, that's one of our quickest way is to say, Mara, thank you. Can you send this out in CSD alert? I'm asking you just check your email. Check your email. If there's something that we need to notify you on, we will. But I wanted to say that in this group before we started doing it, because I need you to understand, not just to go, oh, that's CSD again. Please open it up and see what it is. And if there's information that you need to share publicly with people in your community, please do. Now, stop for one moment and breathe in. I'm serious. Breathe in. I know y'all breathe in, but breathe in deeply and breathe out. And just know that this too shall pass. Okay. Breathe in and breathe out. And know that this too shall pass. In my honesty, it may get worse before it gets over, but it will be over at some point. Will we ever be able to go back to what we consider normal? Probably not. It will be our new normal. But we've got to think about getting through it so we can experience it on the other side. And so breathe and know that you're doing the best you can with what's in your hand today. You're not a miracle worker. If you were all change agents and all of us could board the same plane, I don't know if I get on there today. All of us could board the same plane and go to Washington, D.C. and tell an impactful story that made all of this stop. We do that, and I know that. But I know we can't. And so our job is to stand for those who we stand for, stand up for those who we stand up for. But the first thing you got to do is you got to take care of yourself, because you can't take care of anybody else if you don't take care of you. Okay. And don't go out in the park throwing a football with a 15-year-old at 69 years old. He's a quarterback for his team at school. What made me think I was the right person to be out there with him? Please check your hands, Sheree. I don't know. He'd say he wanted to throw the ball while his brother was playing on the playground. I was like, oh, sure, come on. After that, I should have let the 9-year-old catch the ball. So, in other words, think before you act, okay? But take care of yourselves. I need each and every one of you in this room. Your staff need each and every one of you in this room. Your parents and families, they need each and every one of you in this room to continue to show up. Show up for yourself and then show up for them. And if there's anything I can do for any of you, please do not hesitate to contact me. That's what I'm here for. And that's what I'm praying to be here for. And we will get through this. All right. I'm going to turn it over to the next person. It's Sheree. Yes.
Clarify, I think you mentioned this vaccine. But we don't need to enter children in here, right?
See, she said, cares. I tried not. I see. I tried to have a date with. No, you for CCAP only. CCAP, everybody hear me. CCAP only, you're still using CARES. If you have CCAP from DFSS, you are going into CARES. For all other funded streams, you have access to Excel documents. I know, antiquated as it can possibly be, but that's what we have to do in order to keep up with our data, to be able to do our first of the month report, our 7th of the month report, and our 15th of the month report. So I ask that everyone reiterate to your staff that you must be using the Excel spreadsheets. And while I have you, yeah, I are. How many of you got all your data in for your 45 days, your screenings and everything? If you did, raise your hand. Yay! And to those of you who have not. You did it yesterday at 3 p.m. Yes. Achiever.
Thank you.
All right, before 5.
Thank you.
And we thank you. Yes.
One other, my last question.
Mm.
The CPS with those emails and getting the CPS ID.
Let Craig speak to that before we finish today. Okay. Anyone who is still getting emails about your data that is required for your screenings, I need them in. I need to pull a static report. How many of you remember we had an FA2? In FA2, one of those was about our screenings. Everybody remember that? Okay. Has anybody heard what happened in New York? Let's see what happened in New York. New York's application went in, baseline application to get refunded for 5 years. Federal government went into the system and said, you didn't correct all your issues. And they zero lined their grant. New York lost all of their Head Start, early Head Start dollars. Do you want to be one of those? I'm saying it. We had an FA2 and our numbers were down in our screenings. Our percentages were low. I know my staff is working. I know they're sending emails. I know because they CC me on where they're asking for information. If it's not in Head Start, it what? It didn't happen. And I can't count it. You know, you can tell me sitting here right now, we did 100% of our screenings. And I go, okay, great. I'm glad to hear that. Is it in the document? Because if it's not, I can't count it. Go back and tell your staff. It's a must complete today. Okay. And it's new children that you have to do. If a child has an IFSP, do you have to do these screenings? Only the what? Only the social emotional. Why? Because you have an IFSP or an IEP, right? Everybody needs to understand the rules. Everyone needs to follow them and everybody needs to get the data in. So I can pull the static report showing how great and wonderful you are and how we have done better than we did last year. So that we don't sit at the end of all of this, getting them to review a grant application, only to have somebody in DC go, oh, but that's Chicago. Are you in Chicago? Are you in a blue state? I'm just checking. We can't perform like this right now and give people an excuse to do something different. So if it's not in, go back, make sure your staff know to get them in. We need them like yesterday. All those screenings, it needs to be there. That screening, that tool allows you to put them in for those children. And you need to be putting screenings in. You need to be getting them done. If you don't have Head Start, DFSS, you still have that Excel sheet where you should be putting in information on your children. Am I wrong? If screenings aren't in there, ignore me. Anya, y'all raising your hand back there saying, am I contradicting y'all in y'all words? But I'm gonna say this to you anyway. Screenings are necessary for our children. Okay, so let me finish. Let me say, screenings are necessary for all children. Whether they are going into an Excel spreadsheet that you have out there, my staff should be reviewing and looking to make sure they're done when they come and see you. And when you're monitored, CPS will be asking for them. So screenings need to be done and there's a time frame by which they should be done. Everybody says 45 days. I say 30 days. Why do I say 30? Because if I say 45 and then it's 46, you're late. It's not there. They're telling me it's not on there. They're contradicting me, and that's okay. If it's not on the form, or if it's not in the form, they're in the file, and we will, as a team, come back to you with more information on that. Why are you looking at me like that? Yes, Anya. We were not. Okay. That's why y'all need to fix me. Okay. It's good to have it. You have the certified copy of the IEP or the IFSP. You're not required to do the screenings, and Anya said it. There you go. But you have to have, what did she say? You gotta have the certified copy of the IFSP or IEP. You can't say, well, 60% of my kids got one and I didn't do it. That won't fly. You have to have the documented paperwork. Yes, ma'am. Hold on one second. I'm gonna bring the mic to them so we can clear this up. Clear it up. Right now, the water is late.
Yeah. Well, the thought behind it is that those children are having intervention more frequently. So that's the reason why we're saying you don't have to do it. For those that have a certified IFSP and an IEP. Even in speech, because they're getting that contact. Okay, so that the thought is if something else arises while they're having speech, it'll be recognized. Okay.
The purpose of the screening is to determine the child's needs. If you already have had that child go through and they've got an IFSP or an IEP, that they've already been assessed and you know what their needs are and it's documented. Versus you now doing something else to document probably the same thing. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. So the question is, She understood that she didn't need to put any dates in for a child who had an IEP or an IFSP, so they weren't putting dates in. They got an email from the higher ups.
Well, they know, what is your, and what did, I'm sorry, say email say.
That they still needed to put dates in.
I was receiving all the development, not the, all the screenings, even though the next time an IEP, right? Because, Joey, she went to visit her like the last week. And that he did comment on all of these, stating the child had an IEP.
Right.
And the other two, forgot the other two ones, the state and the state, even like, I just wanna confirm, do we do that, or do we have to follow the work of what it takes?
So you're gonna follow what Jody said.
Okay.
Right. Because our lens is from the,
So
the higher ups lens is to fill all the gaps.
let me be real clear. I was getting information on agencies that had not finished. And I said, send out an email. Urgently, I need screenings done.
Right.
And so it sounds like I'm saying, overwhelm what Jody said, overwhelm what I'm not asking you to do that.
No.
You know, IEP, IFSP, you can do what they're asking you to do, but for all other children, I need their screening date information in the system. Is that clearer than mud?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Success. And I am considered like,
And yes,
I knew you were talking about me because I was like, you know, sometimes, believe it or not, people act differently when it comes out my email box. I didn't know that.
yeah. I don't know how she.
Right. Any other questions before Craig wants to clarify some more?
Thanks, I'll be nice. I'll be nice. But in terms of putting the screening information in, I've been reviewing that the last couple of days, and there are two things that I want just to clarify for everyone. One of them is for our federal grants, the start date for this year is September 2nd, 2025. It is not August 18th. Okay, I don't care when your class started. Our grant started September 2nd, and that's what it will say, because that gives you until today, which is the 45th day. If you put in a date in August, it is too late. You have missed the deadline. If you screen a kid who's been there all year, tomorrow, it's too late. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, related kind of, is for Head Start programs for 3 and 4 year old. If their PIR age is 3, then are they a new child this year? Yes. Even if they transferred from early Head Start, all 3-year-olds are new to Head Start this year because they were too young this year. That means they all need a screening. And so when we're looking at the 45-day percentage, we're including new kids and we're looking at returning kids differently because the PIR is asking for new children. So all of the 3-year-olds should say yes. And when I go in and finding them, I'm going into your spreadsheets and changing it. But just FYI, even if you're like, well, but that kid, we put them in the preschool classroom in July or August, they're still new to Head Start in for this purpose, and they did need to be screened by today.
Did you say by today?
That's fine today. Any other questions? Yes, Anna.
Your 25 days means it has to be done by the 40. You can do that.
Your dates do count. They can put those screening dates in. They still count. You don't have to rescreen. If the child was in August and you did your screenings, they count. It's the after 45 days of enrollment is the issue. Yes, if they started from early Head Start to Head Start, they should have been, their effective start date should be September 2nd, because that's the start of the program year, and that's when your tickler starts. If you did the screening before then, you can still use that date. Okay, not last year, not last program year, somewhere within that last 30 days or so, yes, you can still use that screening. Okay? You're welcome. Anyone else? If you have a child enrolled over the summer and they are new for this new program year, that screening is still valid. You don't need to rescreen the child. Okay,
Think,
he's thinking.
he's thinking.
I'm thinking because I don't know that the automatic calculation is giving me that top of certain point.
And so what the past of the certain point, he will have to tell you what that past of a certain point would be, right? For me, if a child started after the end of, for example, the last year, which was in June, and you brought him in the summer and you were doing your due diligence, getting kids in, getting them ready, doing some of the screenings, we need to talk about what is that cutoff date by which you can use those screenings. Because some children, you started because you were already doing your due diligence of getting your enrollment so that you could get that 98% of enrollment for the September report.
Exception of 3-year-old, 3-year-old would be
No,
children.
they would automatically,
Because they transition. 4-year-olds are returning.
they're returning. 4 or 5 year olds, if they've been in the program, they're returning. If they were in early Head Start and they turned 3, they are new.
Yes, because they transition.
I'm so glad I can do this. And I'm so glad these other people in the room are correct me. Yes. Mhm. It should still work. We're gonna verify and we will send out some information. Okay, but it still should work. Any other questions? All right, Sheree, you're up. For real this time.
Always let it. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. Hey, everybody. This was just a reminder. Health and safety modules. You guys have taken it, right? Your staff have taken it, yes? So you may already start receiving notifications that if you started the current module, which is 2024-2025, you might get a little nudge telling you to go ahead and finish it, because effective the 31st of October, we will be closing enrollments in this current module. Reason being is because we are preparing for our next iteration of the module, the 2025-2026 version. We normally roll out the health and safety modules every November of the program year. So we are preparing to close out the current and roll into the next newer version of our health and safety modules. This is also a reminder that we also have the modules available in Spanish. So this screenshot that you're seeing here, if any of you have seen this dashboard to sign up, on multiple pages, you'll see a dashboard, but then you'll also see a language selector in the corner. You're welcome to select that to, go from English to Spanish, Spanish to English. Currently, we only have those 2 languages available for the health and safety modules. You are welcome to click those links. Again, this slide will be shared with you all, but that link will get you right to this landing page where you guys can sign up if you have staff who need to take the current iteration. Yes,
I'm gonna ask the question. So if I do the iteration, today, if I do it today, that means when it come out in November, I gotta do it again? Yes, because it's a new module. Every year when we roll out the module, there's new content that's added. A lot of that may be repetitive information, but as we are rolling with the punches for those who fund us, right? Oftentimes we have new requirements. Those things will be built into the new module. So even if you took the module on October the 31st, when it rolls out in mid to late November, you will have to take it again. Okay. Any questions on that? That's all I had. All staff. It from your cook to your teacher, your maintenance guy, because it goes over all health and safety practices globally across your program. And when in doubt, because there is some built-in like exams or mid quizzes. The goal is for folks to achieve 80%. So if they don't hit the 80%, they will be asked to do it again. But the goal is to go all the way to the end so that they can get their certificate of completion. We also have our vendor who's supporting us with this module. So he's able to pull reports to let me know, Chicago Commons, because I'm looking at you. Chicago Commons only had X amount of staff. So we can see who started the module, who finished the module, who never touched the module. We can see all of that. So in addition to what you guys are receiving from our vendor related to it, we'll also be doing some work just to say, hey, because we want to ensure that everyone takes it and passes. Any other questions?
I have a question that I want to ask. I don't know who had the answer. My family worker wants to know if there are any spec outs, how you say that in English? Scholarships?
Scholarships?
Yeah, for family support workers to work under VA.
So we do have a scholarship. So the question was, are there any scholarships? I was about to say the Spanish term.
Ah.
So you taught me something. Sorry, at a moment. Okay. She wants to know if there are any scholarship opportunities available for her family service worker who is interested in pursuing their VA. Yes, we do have a scholarship program. With our scholarship program, there is an application period, so the current application period may be closed. However, we're gonna send out, Catherine, and I'll be here right now. We're gonna send out some information related to our scholarship program, just so that your staff can get some additional information.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions? Oh. Hi, you're up.
I know, I'll be letting this one. So remember, you give it and you take it away. You've ever heard that before? So when it comes to scholarships, make sure your people are applying. Because the question that I got was, how many teachers, teacher assistants who work in community-based organizations are receiving these scholarships? I'm in budget season, right? Great question. But why do you think they're asking that?
Can I take it out?
If you don't use it, you lose it. So just like she said, yes, there's a day by which it closes, but as soon as it opens again, if you get staff, please encourage them to apply for the scholarship. Because if there are applications in, if there are people in the school, it's hard to do that. But if the money is just sitting there, it's a real easy fix. So let's not do that. Let's make sure that we're utilizing it. It was done for a reason, so that individuals in early learning aren't assuming all of this debt to get their credentials and or degrees. Okay, so let's make sure it stays.
Yeah.
How many of y'all gonna make sure your staff are applying? Raise your hands, all of you, everybody, one hand, left, right, I don't care. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people don't like attention, so don't look at her. But she received a promotion. Don't look at it. Just clap. Like I told everybody, you need to get your slap on the back while you're here. She's been promoted Who directed?
Thank you so much, Deputy Sarito. I really appreciate that. No, I do not like attention, but I know you owe me that back. It's an inside joke. Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for the congratulations. Hello, I am Sharon Davis, Supervisor of Accounting, now Director of Accounting. That's what you guys want me guys. So thank you so much. Um, I came today to talk about the expenditures. I do apologize. I did not include the numbers. Um, actually, there was no need to go through the numbers because I supplier is down. So, yes, our supplier has been down. I apologize. We do not have, an answer for you right now. When we do have an update, we will definitely let you guys know when it is back up. It's just system maintenance. And, it's been down for a few days now. So we do apologize for the inconvenience. It's inconveniencing all of you guys, not only for getting your, funding, but also for getting your budgets and budget revisions in as well. So we do recognize that. So please let us know if you have any other um, issues regarding that our supplier being down. We will work with you when our supplier is back up so that we can expedite those vouchers due to the delay. So just reach out and actually we'll be working with the controller's office all along anyway. No need to reach out if you don't want to. It's okay. So with that being said, I'll move forward with what we have here. For the FY 25, I'm sorry, I'm talking too far close to the mic. Can you guys hear me? Okay, thank you. So for the FY 25 federal program, all in-kind reports are due on a monthly basis. You should have gotten an email this past Friday reminding you to turn those reports in. Please get those in if you haven't already. Please try to get all back reports in as well as those programs are ending on November 30th. So we will need all those reports in as soon as possible. The budget revision deadline was on yesterday, but if you guys still have budget revisions to turn in, please do submit them. I hope that's okay with you, Angel, at your center. All right, thank you. Um, Also, invoices through November 30th should have been submitted at this time and just continue to submit those once I supply is back up and running. Um, the final deadline for all 2025 invoices is going to be January 30th, 2026. Now, for the new program starting December 1st, the federal application is in. We have received the Head Start, early Head Start feedback, and we anticipate receiving the feedback for CCP and expansion as well. And for the federal program for FY 26, all agencies are required to report non-federal match in kind at 33% of your total federal base. So with the feedback from the Office of Head Start, we know that the government is on a shutdown now. Typically, it's a 6 to 8 week from application due date that we usually hear from them. But in any event, please look out for any correspondence from the FSS regarding your federal program for FY 26. We will keep you posted. Thank you. Now, for the FY 26 childcare program, you guys have received your award letters as of September 18th. I hope that all of your contract documents are in and all of your insurance is updated. We are still working with our grant funding to be baseline. There was a new process for us to get our grants funded this year. There's a new requirement through our budget office, and it's causing a delay. So we apologize for that delay. We have not processed your budget as of yet.
but we will process those as soon as possible. And we will keep you posted. Continue to submit your enrollment, continue to submit your eligibility and all of your children online in cares. And for the FY 26 PFA PI program, all of the remaining initial budgets should be processed as soon as possible, hopefully by October 30th. We will keep you posted on those. And all of the ones that are approved, we are trying to reach out to you, let you know right away. We will keep you posted when our suppliers stand up Friday. And if you have any contract documents that are still outstanding, please do reach out to the contracts team and clear those up. Definitely look into my COI and iSupplier on a regular basis, just to make sure all of your information is up to date. Thank you for your patience as well. So for iSupplier updates, the next training is going to be on, I believe, Tuesday, October 21st at 2 o'clock. And you can find the link to the training there. You can ask all of your questions there, even about the system going down. That's where you want to ask those type of questions so that the consultants will know your concerns. And also make sure, even though our supplier is down right now, once it's back up, please make sure all of your contacts and all of your insurance is up to date. That will keep the processing of your invoices to flow very well. So when our supplier is back up, you want to make sure everything is up to date and accurate in the system. So if the controller's office is trying to reach out to you, they're going by the information that you have online. Let's see. And per your contract requirements, you should be invoicing monthly. And the information about our supplier training and reference material is there as well. And your contacts for the finance team, for your federal programs, CCP expansion, and also for the corporate program is Laverne Coleman, lead accountant, Head Start, and early Head Start program is Teresa Lopez, accountant. And for the child care program is Selena Ruan, lead accountant. And the PFA program is Cassandra Molina, accountant. And if you have any concerns, please reach out to anyone on the team or myself. Thank you all so much. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Right, any other questions, concerns, or comments from anyone in the room? I mean, it's been full. A lot of information. Thank you again for coming. I know it's hard to have to leave your space and give up this time to be here with us, so I honor each and every one of you for doing that. Just remember, again, take care of yourself so that you're able to be there to take care of those who need you. And these are not just the people at work, in your personal lives as well. Look forward to seeing you in the next meeting. And hopefully, by the next meeting, things will have changed. Something to look forward to. We're gonna get clarity of something. It's declare it's gonna be changed. So positive mental attitude that things will change by the next meeting for the better. All right, let's put that out in the order. Take care, everyone. Thank you.